You and Senator Booker, as I mentioned, were both able to quickly and safely get out of the country. What do you understand about the situation in terms of Americans who may be seeking consular help and other people who are trying to leave? Obviously, we just spoke with the Deputy National Security Advisor, Mr. Wagner, about the difficulties that people in Gaza have trying to get anywhere. 2.3 million people packed into a narrow 25-mile-long strip of land. Very, very densely packed area with no real way to leave ahead of what's now already started as the Israeli retaliation. Similarly, lots of Israelis want to get out of the country under very different circumstances, Americans among them. What do you understand about freedom of movement, freedom of travel, and what the U.S. government's able to do to support that?
Well, we're in regular communication with both the State Department and the administration, as well as I have numerous constituents, many who went over, like I did, for the Sukkot holiday in Israel, which is a very common time for Jews to return to Israel. So we are very concerned. Right now, there are very few flights going in and out. It appears as if El Al Airlines, the Israeli national airlines, is just about the only one that is coming in and out. And we are having regular communications with the State Department because so many Americans do want to get out. They should reach out to the State Department or their local member of Congress. You know, on the Gaza front, and I heard what Mr. Wagner said, I would add one thing that I think is really important here, and I just saw a video from the IDF that was translated in Arabic that explained to civilian Gazans that there are designated evacuee places for them to go to avoid being in buildings where Hamas has its infrastructure, which are the targets of Israel's retaliation. That is, of course, a courtesy that the 260 concert goers and the children and grandparents in southern Israel did not get from the Hamas terrorists. And I think it's a very important distinction to make here. Israel is notifying civilians in Gaza when they are going to attack their particular areas. And that is in accordance with international law, unlike what the Hamas terrorists did on Saturday.
Israel has had so many conflicts in its 75-year history, you know, all the way back to 1948, and as recently as a couple of years ago, an 11-day war in Gaza. And I feel like oftentimes looking at historical analogs, historical precedents can help us understand what might happen in this circumstance. In this circumstance, as you're describing the specific situation in which we've got not only these mass coordinated terrorist attacks inside Israel, but the mass hostage taking, to me makes it, I feel like no precedent helps me understand what happens next. And I don't understand what the end game is and strategically for choosing to take so many people, young kids, babies, the elderly, disabled people, whole families, taking them hostage. I don't see how it resolves. I feel like it makes everything here not just more horrific, but also more unpredictable in terms of how this can sort out, because nothing like this has happened before. I wanted to ask if you had a take on that or any different kind of understanding of that than I feel.
Well, you're absolutely right. This is unprecedented in Israel's history. And this is not just a perpetuation of the cycle of violence that we've become, unfortunately, many have become somewhat numb to over the last several decades. This was a coordinated, premeditated terrorist attack against civilians in Israel that has not occurred in the history, 75-year history of Israel. What we are seeing, and the reason why we as Americans must stand with Israel against the terrorist organization Hamas, is a scenario where Hamas has control of the Gaza Strip, but Hamas is a terrorist organization. This is not about Israelis and Palestinians. This is about a terrorist organization that has exacted horrific war crimes against Israel because their sole mission is to eradicate Israel from the face of the earth. And the only way to deal with a terrorist organization like Hamas is how the world dealt with terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda and ISIS, because because that is exactly what Hamas is. Hamas needs to be eliminated from Gaza. There needs to be a new government that can represent the interest of the Palestinian people, which Hamas does not do. And so the initial mission must be to eliminate and neutralize Hamas.